The very strange saga of Bowlero continuing as a former longtime executive wants to sue the company. He claims he was fired due to his age, and now he's accusing the company of extortion as well. Gabby Fonrouge has been following this company for a while, and she joins us now with all the latest twists and turns. Gabby.
Deirdre, yes, there's a lot of twists and turns with this case. So, like you said, the chief information officer of Bowlero, he says that he was fired for his age because he was too old, and this happened last May. Bowlero claims that he resigned. And after he separated from the company, he hacked into the CEO's email account. He stole company documents. This is what Bowlero is alleging. And they had asked him afterwards, one of the executives called him and said, look, admit to what you did, admit to hacking in. We don't want to report you to the FBI, and if you do, everything will be okay. We'll pay you off. There will be a severance. And the executive said, look, I didn't do any of this stuff. And so then Bowlero sued him for the hacking, for violating his employment contract. And now that employee, that former employee, Thomas Tanasi, is asking for the court's permission to countersue his former employer for retaliation and extortion. So that kind of sums it up. But there's a lot more details than that, Deirdre.
He is one of several people who have been involved in litigation against Bowlero. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, Tyler, you cut out there. Can you say that again?
He is one of several people who have been involved in litigation of a similar sort against Bowlero. Am I correct?
That's correct, Tyler. So ever since 2016, Bowlero has been embroiled in an EEOC investigation, and that's related to over 70 former employees who claim that they were fired based on their age or out of retaliation. And this all kind of stems back into Bowlero's growth strategy. And of course, Bowlero denies these claims. It's very important to mention. This company has been around since the late 90s, but in 2013, they acquired AMF out of bankruptcy. They acquired hundreds of bowling centers, and part of the strategy was to turn these old, tired bowling alleys into hip hotspot destinations. And to do that, part of it was retrofitting these bowling alleys themselves, but another part of it, former employees allege, is firing older staff that work there and replacing them with younger, hipper, more attractive staff. So that's kind of the center of this EEOC probe. And the EEOC has found reasonable cause in the majority of the cases. The ones that it hasn't, they're still under investigation. And when the EEOC finds reasonable cause, that means that they believe discrimination has occurred.
So, Gabby, what's been the impact on the actual business? We've been looking at the stock price that's lower on the year, but has that strategy worked even amid all of this litigation? And, it's part of this class of leisure facility stocks that should be doing well right now, right? The consumer is looking for experiences.
So Bowlero had the same kind of pull-forward effect that we saw with other leisure-based, service-based businesses in the post-COVID. Everybody came out. Everybody was spending lots of money. That has started to slow down, and that has impacted the stock. But there's, of course, a lot of negative sentiment as well. I mean, you have to think about the indirect cost of this. People who might want to go to these bowling alleys might read these stories and may not want to go there. And then something else that's really important to mention is that Bowlero is in growth mode right now. A big part of the strategy, it's a very fragmented industry. They're still buying up tired old bowling alleys, retrofitting them, doing a lot of CapEx. And they recently upped their CapEx guidance actually for the year. They're planning on spending about $350 million for fiscal 2024. That's up from $320 million. And that requires a lot of attention from management. But what also is taking a lot of attention from management is this EEOC probe and now this litigation with its former executive.
What was the material that this person, Tanase, who is, I guess, filing a suit against Bowlero, the company alleges that he hacked into computers and took documents, and then he and or others, if I'm understanding correctly, and you correct me if I'm wrong, he and or others then shared that information with outsiders, including journalists. What was going on? What was the nature of these documents, and what was the sharing, and to whom?
So Tanasi, as the chief information officer, he had access to the CEO's emails just by virtue of his position. And after he separated from the company, Bowlero claims that there was unauthorized entries into the email account. And they say that the IP address for those entries trace back to Tanasi. And they also claim that on his company-issued laptop, there was about 2,100 documents on there that he removed from the laptop, put onto a personal USB drive, and then wiped the laptop clean. Tanasi denies these claims. And Bowlero thinks that Tanasi shared information from those documents, from Shannon's email, and also just from his experience working 20 years at this company with the media, with CNBC, with other media outlets, and as well as the attorney who's representing the former employees who have EEOC complaints. Now, Tanasi testified in his deposition that he hadn't shared any information with anybody.
A lot of drama.
And let me because you interjected the name of CNBC. What does CNBC say, if anything, with respect to whether we were given access to these documents?
So we have previously written about Bowlero, which is why Bowlero had assumed or thought that Tanasi had given this information. They also claim that Tanasi had threatened to give information to us. What we do know is that Tanasi testified that he hadn't provided information, and CNBC doesn't divulge what kind of information it receives from where.
Well, Gabby Fonrouge, thanks for bringing us all the twists and turns in that. Very dramatic.
Indeed. Thank
you. To read
you.
the full story, and there's lots of details, please head over to CNBC.com.